What's up everyone, Jonas here for Thomann synthesizers. So in today's video I would like to talk about liveliness in sound design, because recently I was dealing a little bit with this topic and I thought, yeah, what else could I apply besides LFOs, random sequences, polyrhythmic sequences, detuned oscillators with oscillator stop to give it a little bit more life and character inside my tracks. So then I was trying out a little bit and rethinking what I'm actually using and what could be helpful also for your sound design. And I found four and a half techniques that you could apply. Let's start off with the first one, which I call size. And there's nothing wrong with having a good mono mix in electronic music, but I think it's also really interesting if you have a well sorted and placed stereo with certain elements, because then they actually have the possibility to really fulfill their character with a lot of impact. I was thinking, how could I achieve this without using reverb, because reverb is of course giving a little bit of room, but also you're losing kind of depth inside the mix. And I was trying out to have it as dry as possible, but also large at the same time. And I came up with two different ideas. One is inside the Eurorack world, and the second one could be easily applied in everyone's DAW. And the first one is inside my Eurorack with folding. For this one I will use the octa track to send signals to my muted brain, which is then split up into gate and CV. The gate signal I'm sending to the dual ADSR by Intellijel. Processed gate signal is then sent to the wheels by Mutable Instruments, which is a 4-channel VCA. For my sound source I'm using the Foundation oscillator by Verbos, and I think particularly this one is really powerful, has a really strong sound, and you can take out 5 different waveforms. And the Wheels VCA I'm also actually using as a kind of mixer, because you can attenuate the level of each waveform. So the combined signal is then going into the bifold by Intellijel. So on one hand, wavefolding is a really powerful way to produce more complex timbres out of a simple sound or simple waveform. But I'm not only using it to give it a bit more character, but also I'm using the dual channel to create a bigger or larger complex sound. Bifold combines two unique wavefolders with the crossfader. And one channel, the P channel, has a certain sonic characteristic, which is, I think, inspired by the Buchla style, the parallel deadband folding circuit, while the S channel is more characteristic of a surge type serial folding circuit, so you can mix and blend them together. As we can hear now, your simple waveforms are getting really stretched out through the left and right folding channels. So I'm also triggering the Zadar envelope, which is opening and closing the whole processing chain, because I'm sending it to my Magos Marplan filter, but it's attenuated in the negative way, or negative polarization. Alright, let's continue and let's check how we could achieve this inside a DAW. So all I did was sending some MIDI notes to my Deckards Dream, and this one is quite special because it is giving out a mono recording of the audio. Up first, let's have a listen to the dry original recording, and afterwards with the Microshift VST by Soundtoys. Microshift is a kind of really short delay chorus, but without the flavor of having a delay. So it's still kind of dry, but larger at the same time. So the next thing I would like to talk about is layering. Of course, you can use layering in different ways. So the first and obvious one is to boost missing parts or elements like low or high frequencies. But of course, you can also use layering to add more character by adding textures or also contrast. If you have something wooden, maybe you add something more metallic. So you can combine different things to a more interesting result. For layering, I thought to create my own samples, and for this I'm using Mutable Instruments Ears, which is a contact microphone, but you are able to plug something external in, such as a normal mic, and every time you trigger it, Ears is sending out the envelope and gate signals of it, but also the normal recorded output. When it comes to layering, I think it is really interesting to layer your drum sounds, because then you can give it a certain character. So my idea is to use a real acoustic bongo to play it and connect it to the rest of my rack. I want to combine the bongo with the Verbos Foundation oscillator, and as I said, every time I trigger the Ears module with playing the bongo, also the Verbos is getting triggered. The gate output of Ears, which I play by the bongo, is then sent to the dual ADSR. So let's combine them and mix it in the mix-up by Intellijel. So I think the bongo could have a little more extra punch. So I'm taking a lower frequency of the oscillator, and to have some special characteristics, I am playing as well the Beads by Mutable Instruments, which is also triggered by Ears through the seed attenuator. Of course, you don't have to layer your stuff in Eurorack, but I thought it's pretty cool and interesting to show what is possible. I mean, of course, you can just use your DAW, and on the grid you can stack and layer the samples. And of course, you can also go there a level deeper, like Rue did, whom we visited in his Berlin studio to check out his workflow and studio work. And he was using a pretty interesting VST, which is called Morph. And as the name says, it is morphing sounds together. So there you can also achieve really interesting textures and atmospheres. The next thing I would like to talk about are Midi CC messages. CC stands for control changes, and maybe a lot of you heard about it and use it, and some of you don't. Actually, I was not using it until 2 or 3 months ago, since I got a Nord Drum 3P, because the Nord Drum has the problem that you only have one attenuator, so you cannot control decay and noise and the pitch at the same time, because you have to every time press the knob and then attenuate again. And I think, yeah, this is not really the workflow we want to achieve when it comes to adding live to certain elements. Let's check out the Midi CC list provided for the Nord Drum. The Nord Drum 3P is a 6-channel drum machine, and I'm assigning different parameters to each of those channels. For the parameters, I'm taking stuff like tone wave, tone decay, distortion amount, noise decay, also a little bit of panning and the reverb type, as well as the click type or click level of each channel. So let's fill them in. All you have to do on the octa track is double click on the control 1 or control 2 for the CC parameters, and then we can assign them with specific amounts. You can send Midi CC messages not only to drum machines but also to synthesizers, which makes like sequences really interesting. So let's check out the Deckards Dream without and afterwards with the Midi CC messages. First off is the melody sent from the octa track, just a simple arpeggiator. And of course you can play a little bit with the knobs, cutoff, release, etc. But as you just have two hands, you're kind of limited in the expression and playing the synthesizer. So let's bring it to the next level and search for the Midi CC list by Black Corporation. So as you can see, you have tons of possibilities, I think up to over 100 different MIDI messages. So I decided to use 5. The low pass brilliance of oscillator B, the filter decay of oscillator A, the release of B, and the feed scaling of A, as well as after touches of both VCOs, as this is really interesting thing in the Deckards Dream. Using the MIDI messages, we created a lot more depth and interesting combinations in this simple arpeggiator. And if you want to go even there a step deeper, then you could send LFOs to those MIDI parameters. Let's reduce the speed of the arpeggiator, and then we can actually listen to how much the Deckard is working with the Midi CC messages. And I think this came out really beautiful and kind of random, but really, really interesting. So if you don't own a device like the Octatrack, which is able to send CC messages to others, that is actually not a problem, because this is also possible in Ableton and I think in every other DAW as well. So all you have to do is just drag in the CC converter and then you can play with the parameters. For the next thing I want to talk about, I was thinking, okay, how can I add character or liveliness? And maybe I have to begin from the start. So let's check out the sound source. So I was watching some interviews with Bartu or Mattress, and those guys were using pretty interesting VSTs. And they're having like a bit different approach than classical waveforms like triangle saw, etc., which I really love to use. But I thought, okay, maybe it's also interesting to combine really interesting and kind of mysterious sound sources to add some more character and complex textures to your sound design. So then I was digging the web for something that could fill my needs, and I came across physical modeling, which is of course a term for everyone of you who's using Eurorack, but I think not for everyone who's using classical synthesizers or computers. So it's kind of emulating string sounds, and I think this has really a specific interesting character because it's not really acoustic, but it's also not really synthetic. It's like somewhere in between, and that makes it really like kind of special. And I think it's really interesting to use it for grooves or for drums, yeah, because you cannot really sort it what it is. So then I was finding elements of mutable instruments, which I would like to show you now. Elements is a full-blown synthesis voice based on model synthesis, and underappreciated flavor of physical modeling synthesis with a strange and abstract feel of it. On the right section you have a more like kind of resonating and classical parameters like chorus or fine-tuning and FM amount, as well as geometry and brightness, like kind of a cutoff, or damping, which is kind of a decay. I was adding a synced dual LFO to have control over the timbre and mullet amount to have it a bit more groovy. So if you want to use kind of weird sound source, then I would suggest you to check out Glitch Lab, or for physical modeling also Prism by Reaktor. Alright, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions or ideas you want to share, then put it in the comment section and I will get back to you. So, thanks for watching and see you next time.